All right, I'm trying this again. I am have a guest, and I am going to wait for him to pop on. Tommy-Gene Harlow, and let me see if I can just add him this way real quickie. That's not how you do it. It can always takes like a second to get everybody. Okay, I'm gonna invite you, Tommy-Gene Harlow. Just accept my invitation. Come online with me. And I'm going to get out of this over here. And let's see if we can get you online here. I'm Nicole Kincaid. I do energy work. I specialize in spaces and in homes. And there he is. He's watching, I know. I'm going to bring you on. You don't have any. Tommy-Gene, there should just be like I've invited you and you accept the invite to like come onto the broadcast. Let me see. Hang on 1 second. I have one more thing I can try. I have one more tool in my bag here. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can be in my video. 1, 2, 3, Tommy-Gene. There he is. Hey, mister.
Hey, how are ya?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
Good. I see you're at work.
Yes, I'm in my studio, all ready to go after this.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm pretty good. You know, Seattle in the
Yeah?
wintertime rain, but what do you expect?
I love it. Except for my dogs won't go outside, but other than that, I'm like enjoying it. I know. I'm a weirdo.
Now,
Well,
can you
I'm
hear
so
me
glad.
okay?
So I can hear you great.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that delay bothering you?
It's kind of crazy. But just
Okay.
ask
Do you
me a
want to like
question
get
and then
off and
I'll
get back?
pause and then I'll answer.
Okay. So I've been doing, you know me, I do this Stuffology work, and you have been a part of my Stuffology world. And Stuffology is very different than like regular organizing. And I've also been doing regular organizing lately too, which has been really, really fun. I've been taking on some organizing jobs. And I was really curious from like your perspective, because we haven't really talked about this in depth in like a year. And you kind of dove into the Stuffology pool. And then now it's been a year. So I'm like, what happened? Like, where did you go from like starting Stuffology, and then how did
Well, it's
it work
funny
out?
that you say that because when I was opening my drawers this morning, like to get ready for work, I was like, I need to organize again. So the first question I had for you was, how often do we have to go back in and zhuzh everything up?
Yeah. Okay, that is like the most bomb question, and the reason is because um, the reason I love Stuffology so much is I truly, truly, truly think about our spaces as this way for us to have a transformation occur in our lives through our stuff. And I think that like organizing in these like scheduled doses is really hard on our systems. And it's a lot of pressure, and a lot of people think of it as like tidying and cleaning up, and I'm going to take a weekend and get really organized. And then they never want to go back to it. Versus Stuffology, versus Stuffology, which is like, I literally think of Stuffology as a lifelong process that you just do little bits at a time. So I think you know this. I just went to
Okay,
Hawaii.
so if I were to go back and revisit this, like I should just, because I have 6 drawers in my dresser. And
Mm-hmm.
my underwear drawer, I mean, I do wear clean underwear every day, so I'm in there. But that's the one that also gets the messiest. So, like, what advice, like, what do I need to do? Because it does feel daunting to go like, oh, I need to go through everything again.
Yeah. No, you don't really have to go through everything again. you just have to go through, like, at the point where you have the pressure point in you, like, oh my God, the underwear drawer is all messy again, right? When it starts to feel like it's bothering you on a day-to-day basis, just do the underwear drawer. Like, literally just grab everything in there and throw it on your bed, and then one by one go through what, like, how you feel about what you have and why you have it, and then see what comes up, and then don't do anything more. And it's so fun and brilliant. You're going to learn something about you.
Well, and I think this time, like looking at that drawer, for example, is there's not a bunch of extra stuff. Like I will say, like when I went through Stuffology for the very first time, I got rid of all the extraneous stuff that I didn't need. I'm like, I'm never going to wear these cute socks. They've been in here for 5 years. So now it's just a matter of keeping it, tidy. Because it's so funny, Nicole, because when I open those drawers and everything's like in order and tidy, I mean, doesn't matter what else is going on. I feel like a sense of control isn't right, but like a little bit of a sense of peace. It's like, okay, everything's going crazy, but at least my socks and underwear are in order. Is
Oh
that
my
part of
God.
it?
I feel so the same way. I mean, like, totally. Like, and it's so ironic that you just did your underwear drawer or whatever, because I literally just did my sock drawer and I took everything out, and I literally, Tommy-Gene, like, I had nylons in there. And I took
Well, we're all the chicks are wearing them today.
they are? I didn't know that.
Oh,
Okay.
they're not.
Oh
Those
no,
are
I know,
old.
right? And I was like, what is going on? But I literally just was like, I have to do this one drawer. And I took everything out, and then I kept feeling like this total sense of peace that I could go back to my bedroom and just open up that area, and then it was like totally, like, it calmed my nervous system down to look at it and to see it. And there were socks that were brand new that I never wear. But but the mind is like, I can't get rid of those because they're brand new. But I was like, I went through it, just that one little area. I got really honest with myself about what I wanted to keep. And I went through I undid every sock and looked to, little holes in this. And I mean, and it felt like, it's what you just said. It felt so good. And it feels so good because it's like, it makes you feel a certain way on the inside.
Now, okay, you touched on something. I went to a friend's house recently, and I was so embarrassed because they're a no shoes house. And I just had on like my athletic socks, and I took them off. I didn't even realize I had a big hole in my socks. And all of a sudden I was like 10 years old. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But what do you do? I mean, this sounds so stupid, but I guarantee if I went through your sock drawer, I would find some socks with holes in them, right? So what do you do the obvious thing is like, oh, donate them, throw them out. But what, from Stuffology point of view, what do you do with those? And why do we have a hard time letting them go? They have holes.
Oh, I know. And that's why, like, how I say this in my programs. I'm like, you just have to take a little tiny, tiny, tiny slice of the pie at a time, because even something as innocuous as, like, or just as like, well, why is that, as a sock, or as our socks, like, we still have to process, like, God, that's kind of hard to get rid of those. I love those socks. Like, I don't know if I'm going to find another pair like that. What if they don't make them anymore? But these ones, and so you just have to decide, first of all, what I talk about in the program, which is like the yes, no, maybe. And just let yourself have that part of the journey first, of deciding what you're going to keep, what you're going to get rid of, and what's a maybe. And then, as you circle back to the maybes at the end. But
The
then,
maybes.
yes, the maybes, the maybe babies. And then you go back and you put all of your yeses, you like you do the magic of like reassembling your drawer. And then
Got
you
it.
can, a different part of the process is addressing what you're going to do with the stuff that's a no. Because it's either like, if it's in too bad a shape, it's a donate, or it's a throwaway. It's just it's a throwaway, or it's a donate. But it's a whole other process that takes a whole other engine of fuel in a person. Because you know
Now,
what, Tommy-Gene, people
oh, go
really
ahead.
do want to give away consciously, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so in having your course is evergreen, right?
Yes, the one that you took is evergreen. So
So I'm
anybody can.
thinking like, how often would you say like I go in there and um, revisit one of the modules? Because I think it's as I'm talking to you, I'm like, why didn't I just go online and revisit that module? Because
Yeah,
it's like it's still I have it. I own it forever, right?
you do. You know what? I think it's like when you're feeling, I always know like a telltale sign of when people are feeling like agitated, irritated, and annoyed in their own spaces, and they don't want to be in their own spaces. That's a really good time to just pop on a module. And I have this whole thing. I don't know if you do this trick with books, but like, so I have like a lot of like personal development type books and things like that. And sometimes I'll grab a book and I'll be like, whatever I open up to, this is the message I needed to hear today. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and I just let
100%.
like just let the divine like speak to me, right? But you know what? You can do the same thing with modules. Just go into a module and pick one, and then you don't have to like do the whole series over. Just pick a module
Oh,
and be like, I'm just gonna listen to like 15 or 20 minutes to get in the energy of it.
got it. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
total sense. Because I think it's one of those things that I forget that like I have you there anytime I want it.
Yeah.
You know, because that's how that course was created. Okay, that's
Mhm.
really great. And do you think there's a seasonality to Stuffology?
You know, like, no, I really don't. I mean, I think that it just, whatever's coming up in people's lives is what prompts them. Like, they're like, because you know, there is the thing of like, oh, spring cleaning or fall, culling or whatnot. But what really happens for people is they just go through life, and then they come across moments where their just space is just too much, or it's not feeling right. And that can happen at any given time. It can happen like when a relationship ends or a relationship's beginning and you're making space for someone, or you have someone's bringing in a new pet or a new family member, a baby, or they're helping their family. So just life will give you the circumstances that will lend itself to going into the stuffology process.
Okay, and then when you so when you touched on that, so sometimes like because I love my space, I love it externally, but then if you open like a closet door, don't look in or the drawers. But does it help you when you're feeling a little out of control in your space? Does that energy kind of spill over? Like just because you've locked everything behind the closets and the drawers, does that still impact you energy wise?
Yes, absolutely it does.
Okay.
Because it's almost like when you have like a little pebble in your shoe, you know what I mean? And it's not
Oh
like
yeah.
rolling around the whole time and you're like, oh, good, it's in like a spot where I'm not feeling it, but it's still there, right? And our spaces are, I mean, like everywhere, even those rooms that we don't use or go into all the time or whatever, they're still a part of like our space ecosystem, And so everything, the best case scenario is that your whole space feels like you and resonates to you. And that's not necessarily like meaning like, oh my God, I have so many areas in my space that I don't like right now, or they're not, that don't feel good. But even just having the consciousness of like, I'm going to get to it though, like I'm totally got my eye on it, and I know that um, I'm going to get to that room, or I'm going to get to that closet,
Now, what do
allows
you
her to
feel
really.
about scheduling that? Like, do you like if because I'm like, oh, I'm so busy, and then every time I open the closet, because when I open my closet and everything's organized, I mean, I do feel this sense of empowerment. I don't know
Yeah,
why, but I do. Um,
I know,
but would
isn't
you
it great?
suggest like, okay, you don't have time, put it on your calendar, or do you just like wait till you organically feel like it?
You know what? I love the idea of scheduling it. However, I mean, I really do. And I think it's really smart to do it. But however, this because we've talked about it. But I truly think you have, how I always say, like, pick a time that you think you're going to allow. Like, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 hours. And then I always say, and then divide that time by 50%. like because people
Oh,
always spend way too much time organizing or what I call stuffology, and then they blow their lights out because it's so much, you know, and it's, I mean, it's, people don't
well,
realize how,
this is like you mentioned in Stuffology, the Pomodoro method, right?
yes,
Where you set that.
yes.
Oh God, see, I'm remembering. I need to go back and look at my modules. But that's just it. Okay, because like that, because it's how many minutes is the Pomodoro method?
I think it's 25 minutes on, 10 minutes
So
off, I
set
think.
that timer for 25 minutes.
You could, you know, like I always tell people, like instinctually check in with yourself. But I love the Pomodoro method because it's like like people have done science or, you know, studies around what time denominations work for like our attention, like how much we're really into it, right? And so
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, but the point is to really just spend a way smaller time than you think you like we you know how we are, we're like, oh no, I can get all this done. But here's the deal, here's my analogy. You wouldn't go to a therapist and be like, okay, I want to schedule 3 hours with you because I really want to work through this issue. No way. You'd be like, oh, okay, 50 minutes is great, and then let me process what came up and what happened, and like all, you know, and like, and then deal with like the mess of like what occurred out of the process, right?
Got it. Yeah.
And it's very, very, very much like what Stuffology is like, because you can run into things, you know, in your closet, Tommy-Gene, where you're like, God, I didn't know I had that. And man, that just brings up memories. Or that coat was the last coat I wore when I saw that friend where I had that big kerfuddle with, or whatever, you know, and you got to give yourself time to
So how do
process.
you, when you're going through your drawers, and because it's what I've learned from you is it's not just organizing your drawers. Like all this stuff has energy. So what do you do when those feelings come up? Like when you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I saw Nikki the last time I wore this scarf, and you
Yeah.
start to go in that place. What do you do? Like, do you sit with it? Because I feel like if I sit with it, then I'm like, well, I'm wasting my time. I need to just keep going. Do you do it after you organize, or like, what would you do?
The present moment is, to me, that's why you know, I have this time sized down in order to
Hmm.
deal with what comes up, because there's no like, that precious moment when that thing pops up is like the moment, because you know it's hard to conjure up hidden energy inside of us and emotions that have just been hiding out, right? We need sometimes an impetus to be like, oh my God, right? So here's the answer to your question. If I'm with people and I'm working with them in Stuffology, I just say, let me just tell me the story. Like what, like, because they're literally like, oh my God, you know? But if you're on your own doing Stuffology, what I suggest, the way to get around the mind that's going to want to be like, just keep going, don't worry about that, is talk it out loud. Go, oh, like literally vocalize what's coming up.
So they're like, oh
And
my
then,
God, this scarf reminds me the last time I was with Nicole.
yeah,
And then does that kind of just get it
yeah,
out?
like, holy, yeah, that happened when I was literally working on my sock drawer. I was like, oh, and so I was like, all right, I'm just going to talk it out loud. And it was like I was having a conversation with myself, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like I was literally in my home by myself. I'm like, I can't believe this. No way. And I could, and you know, energy needs movement in order to move, right? And
Uh-huh.
so, and it felt like, and I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And I just gave myself a moment to vocalize it, and then let whatever needed to exhume out of my physical body, just to like, and it can happen like that. Like, it's not like you need like a half an hour to process, you know, an emotion. I
Okay.
mean, emotions process
Quick.
quickly when you're
Now,
given
how
the
does,
space
so
to do
I know
so.
you do have a new course, and you didn't ask me to ask you this, but I'm going to ask. So where does Stuffology sit with Sanctuary, your new program?
Whew, Stuffology is my work that I kind of innovated like 30 years ago. And it's my version of clutter clearing and organizing, but it's what we've talked about. Like, okay, what comes up though, you know, when we're clutter clearing and organizing? And then how do we deal with that? I also do another work called clearing work, and and I specialize in homes and spaces. And that's where I work with the stuff that you can't see, like how spaces feel and how we drop into our spaces, our experiences, and then after, you know, over a given amount of time, our spaces start, sometimes start to feel like not so great because they're holding so much. Or if you have moved into a space and someone else lived there that was really different than you're like, God, I love my brand new space, but like something doesn't feel right here.
Yeah.
That's the part of the work that I do called space clearing. Sanctuary is the combination of energy work, space clearing, and stuffology all together.
Nice. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's really dealing with how do we create like our utmost sanctuary for ourselves in our spaces? How do we get them to feel the way we want them to feel, and also look the way we want them to look?
And you, in that course, like, so if I took that course, I would learn how to, I can space clear on my own?
You're going to go through some processes and some,
okay,
where you're going to learn how you're going to go through your space and learn how to deal with the energy of it with some guidance and tips from me, for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
People have been asking me for a super long time, like, when are you going to start teaching energy work? And I'm like, it's not really my thing. But there are things I can teach about energy work, and I feel like I do need to start opening that up to people. But it's really, when you learn how to work with energy, you got to really be willing to face some very uncomfortable stuff in your own world, right? And that's the part where I've kind of backed away from like teaching people, because it can be uncomfortable realizing that our spaces are all about us. And when we start facing them, we have to face our own belief systems. And then how do you deal with that?
All right, awesome. Hold on 1 second. My light went out.
Oh my God.
I got to turn the light back on. Aha. There we go. Okay. Let there be light.
I love that. Okay, Tommy-Gene, I want to switch gears for a second here.
Yes.
And I want to ask, okay, would you be willing for like a really fun little question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you are a genius at hair. And I have this question that I've been thinking about for so long, and it drives me nuts because on social media, I always see these women with these really perfect ponytails, and like they just go poop, and they're like, and I know that you do like you've had all this training and all over and all this, and I wondered if you had any tips around like, how do women do that? Like, why does mine always droop and like does not hold? And then just seems to sag down.
All right, so that's a great question. So the biggest challenge is gravity. So if you look at hold on, I'm gonna, so what you want to do, if you look at the side of the head, a lot of people will put their ponytail here. Yes. So it should either be low or high, because if it's right here, gravity will pull that down.
Okay.
So if it's a little higher, if it's a little kind of like right at the back of the crown like that, can you feel like how that starts to round over? So here's the head. So instead of putting it here where it's going to droop, you put it right on top of that.
Okay.
And then that will help to keep the ponytail up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is placement is everything. And also making sure that the elastic you have will hold that up. So sometimes you need a stronger elastic. Oh. Does that make sense? Because that's what's holding it up there. So if you only have like one little thing, it's not holding very much, whereas you've got two. So think of that. So if you have like one, so see, that's really like, that's all that's holding, but you've got a lot of hair. So you can't do that. You need all those little layers. Does that make sense?
Oh my God.
There we go. So if you just have one, that's not holding it up. But if you have placement and the right strength or width of elastic, that's start there for sure.
Holy moly. Okay, so I have had long hair for so long, and I have struggled with a ponytail for so many decades of like just like they come in out of the hair all day long because they're never right.
Oh yeah.
Adding an extra rubber band, is so brilliant.
Well, yeah, because a lot of women are like, well, I get that a lot actually. And I'm like, well, you have to either place it higher or lower. And that middle part of the back of your head, like this part here, that's not a great place because that gravity will pull it down. And again, if you don't have enough securing it,
Yeah.
it will just fall apart. There's no foundation.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Thank
So
you.
next time you come in, bring in your elastics, but I want you to try it on your own and just try placement and see the true test is when you wear it and you go do your activities and you come home, you're like, oh my God, it's in the same place. If you created that foundation. So placement
I think I'm always going
and
like this.
equipment.
And it always ends up in the middle of my, like, cause I'm always just going like this, and then it always ends up right.
Yes.
It doesn't end up, so I have to like, okay, I'm gonna try that.
Take it a little higher, because again, gravity, it's gonna pull it down.
Oh my gosh, so fascinating.
Yeah, do you have another or any other questions or anything?
No, that was awesome.
That was it. All right.
Thank you.
Well,
for
I'm gonna go revisit my Stuffology course because I need to clear the energy before the holidays.
Yeah, and I feel like you know what your homework is. Like okay, so if I were like, okay, we're talking right now, and so I'm saying like, what do you think I'm gonna tell you is the area that you need to work in next?
Well, now that you know everything, like I would say my drawers.
Really? I was gonna say your whole closet because you kept bringing.
Oh no, because that's the worst.
Oh. Okay.
Well, it's actually not the worst. It's just very unorganized. But I have to say, I do think I could, but I could do my whole closet because I don't have all the, for lack of a better word, crap that I had. Because when I went through Stuffology, I really was like, I went through that whole process. And most everything in my closet, I just sometimes just throw stuff in. But I don't have a lot of extraneous stuff. It's just very all over the place. So I will, pinky swear, do my closet before the weekend's over. Because I really need to get it done.
Well, I mean, and just remember, keep it sized down. So like whatever, you can, just the time, and then just doing one little area and then like letting yourself have that as a win.
Okay, so maybe just do one side of my closet one day and the next another time.
Yeah. Or you could just do pants.
Oh.
Or
you should do this for a living.
Long sleeve tops. What?
I said you should do this for a living. Like I do.
You know what I mean? Or you
okay,
could just
awesome.
do long sleeve tops, right? Like the other day, I literally just did my travel my travel basket, because like I just come back from a trip and I was like, I need to get this more organized. So I just took, but I could have gone through my whole bathroom stuff, or my whole, no, I just took like that family of travel things, and that's all I went through.
Because that's the mistake people make, right? Is they just try and boil the ocean, do everything.
They're gonna, yeah, and that's when they get at, like, they just blow their circuits out, and then they never want to go back to Stuffology again, or they never want to go back to organizing. They're like, this sucks, and it's like, oh no, it doesn't. If you take it little bits at a time, it's really, really actually very fun.
Right, I love it.
I mean,
awesome.
And enlightening, like really neat. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for answering all my questions. I love this. It's fun to revisit. It really is fun to revisit.
Yeah. Have an amazing day. Thanks for the conversation.
All right. Good to talk to you.
You too.
All right. Bye.